is if you guys have questions, we're going to answer that here in a little bit. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. And I have seen some miracles, things that I couldn't believe. And the reason I got into the industry, I was actually a computer programmer. And the company that I was working for sold out to a larger company which had no computers. They didn't do their own computer programming. So while I was applying for jobs, I took a part-time job at a health food store. And the first thing I saw, and I was just doing it for a job. I was filling out resumes. But I saw a man that his right leg, he was diabetic. He was about 85 years old. And his right leg from the knee down was dark purple. And he came in and said, "Claude, what can I do for this?" And he pulled up, his leg. And I looked at that and I said, if I were you, I would go back, get in my car, and go right to Providence Hospital. I wouldn't even fool with this. And he goes, "I just got from there." He said, at my age, the treatment they want me to do, there's only a 40% chance I make it. Yeah. And he said, "I'm going to be in the hospital for 10 days. And I told him I wasn't going to do it. And, so I said, well, let me make some phone calls, because I didn't even know what to do for that. So I did, and the recommendation they gave me was product, and we called the company. We had the product in the store. They got on the phone and told him how to take it. About 8 or 9 days later, his name was Abshire, Mr. Abshire. I saw him and his wife pulling up to the front door. This was before I was at the health food. This was a company I worked with back in '92 when I first got into the industry. I saw their car coming up, and they started to get out and go to the grocery store. And I saw him kind of wave at me, and he started walking to the store, and I thought, oh man, I hate to see that leg again. He come walking in, he said, "Claude, I want you to see something." He pulled up his pants leg. All the color and everything was back in his leg.
Wow.
Okay. And, God gives us, options. A lot of times we don't know they're there. I never suspected anything like that. From that point, that was it. That's all I wanted to do. But God, He's there, and He gives us options. And He knows, in our day and time, we can't go out normally and pick vegetables. We usually, and I know my family's that way too, a lot of times, we have to get a pizza, or we have to do packaged foods. And there's no nutrition in it at all. It's weird too, because what we have for our selection in our country, European countries won't even import it. Literally, they won't. There's people that I know personally, that's come into the store and could not do anything with wheat in it. They would just, it would cramp them over. One was a pastor, Reverend Perry, and got to go to Italy with a church conference. And when he came back, said, "Reverend Perry, how was your trip?" And he goes, "It was a blessing and a curse at the same time." And I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "Fellowship, with some of the pastors I've talked to on the phone, haven't ever met them." He said, "Claude, it was great." But he said, "I got back here and I can't eat." And I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "I tasted what food tasted like." And he goes, "None of the wheat there bothered me." I know another lady the same way. But God is going to give us options to help us make it through.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, that I want to go over with you tonight. God is always first, okay? Always first. You have exercise. It doesn't have to be strenuous. And that to me is even more important than supplements or eating. Right. Supplements is going to come maybe fourth, okay? Eating. And here's the thing too. We all read and hear about this food is good, this food is bad. 1 minute eggs eggs is horrible for you, the next minute they're great. But there's another factor to that too. Broccoli, okay, it's great food. But if you can't digest it, it's doing you no better.
That's right.
So a lot of times when you eat, if you notice when you eat something, it's hard to digest, you bloat. Look at those foods, because it may actually be something you think is very healthy, that's just not working well with you.
Not for you, right.
Yeah. And then the supplementation, there's a lot of stuff out there on that. And the fifth thing, and I'm just getting into this, I have kind of jumped into it big time, but they are finding so many things neurologically that's going on that's affecting the body, and it's carrying over it. This one doctor named Dispenza is merging God and science with it. And they're finding out some amazing things in health. They've had people working with them that has reset genes with MS and don't have MS anymore. And what they're finding, is just fantastic. But, the main thing, I can get in here for you tonight, and when I start getting into that, I'll be glad to come back and tell you that, because I'm so excited that it's unreal.
Wow.
But, if there's, any health problem, I know the pharmacy, we have a guy that comes in that's sales manager for a pharmaceutical company. And he said the pharmaceutical companies call cholesterol, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and blood pressure, the trifecta. That's what they call it. Because they know, that's 3 drugs right there you can be on. Okay? If you've been on a drug, for a while, I would get with a pharmacist or a doctor, before you try to get off of it, because your body adapts to it, and it can, cause some issues. Don't just go out and pick an herb, because there are some things that can conflict, but you can. I have seen so many people get off all their medicines. We had a lady about 3 years ago, did a couple of things and was in chemo for pancreatic cancer, one of the hardest cancers to treat. 9 months later, she was cancer-free.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen that several times. A lot of cool stuff. So feel free to ask me. I'll have to say this because my owner, I'm here for me tonight, not Health Hub. Okay. He don't like us doing stuff like that, but I wanted to do this for Pastor Hunter. He's such a good guy, and I like him. So if y'all ever do come out to the Health Hub, it's Claude, okay?
Yeah.
You don't mind.
Exactly.
But I'll be glad if there's something I don't know, I will find the answer for you. And Pastor Hunter has my cell phone number. If you ever have a question, get with him, tell him to text me, and we'll figure it out.
Right.
Okay? So
let me ask you a question about
sure.
Claude. Dealing with high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us something about that? What can be something good? And I remember you saying something about also if we get into these type herbs and things of that nature, it's good to go to the health food store and talk to you, talk to the pharmacist as well. Mm-hmm. But I remember you had mentioned something also about the thing they call checking your blood type. Is that important too, to make sure you check your blood type to see, because that can be an issue, like you said something about the wheat bread. Some people can't eat wheat, even though we think it's healthy, but when we go to eat wheat bread, we think it's healthy, but it's causing problems with us at the same time. Because I know I eat broccoli, and I'm thinking it's healthy, which I believe it is healthy, but when I eat broccoli, I'm bloated. I'm full of gas.
Oh, yeah.
And it just don't sit well. But then I go turn around, eat the wheat bread. I'm enjoying it, and I'm okay. I'm not bloated.
Yeah. Okay, you're bringing up a good point here too. Okay, everything, a food, a vitamin supplement, a pharmaceutical drug, the end result is going to totally depend on your individual body chemistry. And in the Bible, God says, know yourself. Okay. a lot of that's got to be taken into consideration. It's like with the broccoli, if it's floating you, then there's something there. I mean, it may be a slight lack of enzymes, but theoretically, that may not be good for your body chemistry. I'll never forget this, real quickly, and we'll get back on that. A good friend of mine and his wife decided one year they were going to do this cleanse called the Master Cleanse. And I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. Some people call it the lemonade diet. Okay, you mix maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and lemon juice and water. And the diet's supposed to be for 10 days. People vary it, you know. But for 10 days, that's all you're supposed to consume. It's like a half gallon or 3/4 of a gallon a day. Well, he was determined that him and his wife were going to do it. His wife did it for 2 days, and she said, nah, that's enough for me. Well, Gary goes, well, I'm going to make it the 10th day. Well, about the 3rd day, he started feeling horrible. I mean, really, really bad. And he called me up and he said, you think I could be detoxing? And I said, well, you know, probably, I guess. I mean, I don't know how you feel. He goes, man, I'm having headaches. I'll have periods of fatigue. I get up, I get nauseated. He goes, it's just really, really bad. And I said, yeah, you could be detoxing a little bit. He said, well, there's one thing I didn't tell you. He said, I've been drinking like a liter of Diet Coke for 2 months. You know, I said, well, that could probably be it, you know. Well, anyway, Gary goes, well, by the 7th day, his wife was going, Gary, something's wrong. You know, I don't think you're detoxing. Well, he called me back. And I said, Gary, she might be right. You may need to drop off of it. He goes, no, I'm going to make it for 10 days. By the 10th day, she was wanting to go to emergency room. He could hardly get up, but he made it. It took him 2 weeks to recover from it. Well, about 3 months later, some company called him up that was wanting to give him allergy testing, okay, for foods and, you know, environmental stuff and everything. And his wife was a nurse, so they decided to do it. Well, when you got the sheet back, it had all these things that they were looking at, you know, on there, and they did over 600 foods, you know, on it. And what it would do is give you like a little red mark, which meant you should never eat that again in your life, okay? A yellow mark means not to eat it more than 3 days in a row, and green light means you're good to go, okay? Gary only had one red thing on that whole sheet, and it was cayenne pepper. That's what was doing in the cleanse. So, you know, that is a big factor, you know, with it. And on blood pressure, one thing that they never talk about with it, there's one main reason. It's not the only reason now, so it may not be the issue. But one of the main reasons when you get high blood pressure, your arteries are constricting. They're closing up, okay? So the blood, there's not, you know, as much blood going through, which could be due to inflammation or whatever, but they're clamping up like this, okay? And that puts pressure on your heart, so your pressure goes up. Okay, like if you get under stress, you know, and you're worried about something and it goes up. Okay, whenever the problem's resolved, your body will create reactions that opens back up the artery. So the blood comes through easier, the blood pressure comes down, you know, on that. Okay, but the number one reason, like when people, their arteries constrict, but then they don't want to open back up, believe it or not, is dehydration of the arterial wall. Okay, everybody's around, you know, you see like athletes before, you know, and stuff like that, where they just get totally dehydrated and it's deadly. Their kidneys shut down and everything. Well, this is not that type of dehydration. It's more of like an acute thing. I mean, a chronic thing, not an acute one. In other words, you have enough fluid, you're not going to die, but parts of your body are suffering. One of the first things your liver does, if it starts to get dehydrated, is raise your cholesterol level, because cholesterol is what protects it under that instance. Okay, so that's the really one thing, and it's not the only thing. You know, I've known people that drank a lot of water still their blood pressure's up. But we had a lady that came into our store one time, and she had a lot of things going in her life. She was very, very upset. But she came in, was going to the doctor. Her blood pressure was like 210 over 140. And she was on her way. She had a doctor's appointment that afternoon. And she asked us, what can I do to try to bring that blood pressure down so I don't have to go on a pill? And I was like, I don't know of anything. I don't know of anything that quickly, But I told her that about the water. And she goes, well, the only thing I ever drink is coffee. That's it. And I went, well, maybe there's something to it. She got 2 big bottles of water, like 32-ounce bottles of water, and we gave her one little pill called valerian root, which is calming. Just try to calm her down to get her to the doctor. Well, about 5 hours later, she came back in the store. When she got to the doctor's office, now that was her blood pressure at home. When she got back from the doctor's office, it was 142 over 84. 2 bottles of water in that amount of time. That was her problem, So that's one thing. I don't believe that, real salt is always the worst thing, with blood pressure. Now you got to figure the salt like Morton and all of that, it's one mineral, it's sodium chloride. That's it. Okay, if you get a real salt, which is not much more, than that, like a real sea salt, it's got 80 different minerals in it. Sodium's just one of them. And I've known a lot of people, that can do that, never have a problem with their blood pressure. Okay, another thing too, and this goes back to the hydration thing. Salt can be a problem if it's not diluted in your body. So if you go eat a salty meal, barely drink any fluid with it, it's going to cause issues. It will do that. And, so those are the main things. Apple cider vinegar. A lot of times, if the sodium level in your body, sodium and potassium have to keep a balance, okay, in your body. If you're taking in a lot of sodium, not much in potassium, then, and that level gets too high, I've known people just take potassium and the blood pressure come down. There's things you can take to expand the arteries. It's a lot out there. One of the best things out there, and it's interesting, is the cheapest thing, is celery seed tea. Very high in potassium, very high. Helps the arteries open up, and it'll drop your blood pressure quickly.
Celery is called what? Celery what?
Celery seed.
Celery
the
seed.
Little seeds in the spice, like in the spice rack.
Yeah.
You get 1 teaspoon of the seeds, and you put it in a coffee cup, and you pour boiling water on it, cover it, and let it sit there for about 15, 20 minutes. And if it's real hydrate, 2 cups a day. If it's just a little bit, do 1, but keep watch on it because it can drop it the other way.
And the celery seed, could that be the same thing too, Claude, with like the celery stick, or is it just celery seed?
Yeah, according to what I've read online, they say if you eat 4 stalks of celery a day, it's equivalent to 1 cup. So if you like that, parsley's good for it too.
Yeah, because what I do, I eat a stick of celery, like in the mornings. Would that still be, or just what you would call 4? You said 4 what? 4 sticks or what?
Yeah, like the stalk. 4 of those, yeah.
4 of them.
It's equivalent to celery seed tea.
Okay.
If you eat 1 though, you're getting benefit. And the interesting thing, and that's what I was going back with sodium.
Yeah.
Celery is the highest vegetable in sodium.
It's the highest.
But it lowers blood pressure.
So you got to know to balance it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 1 stick will be okay. I do like 1 stick. I cut me up some celery. I get like 1 long stick. Cut a half a cucumber and carrots. That wouldn't be a bad mixture,
Oh no, that'd be a good one.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, it kind of help because I've heard that the cucumbers holds water. In other words, instead of me drinking water, I can eat my water.
Right.
And that would be the same thing as drinking.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. When you eat a food, the first thing your body does is extract fluids because your enzymes can't digest the food if it's a lot of fluid there.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Parsley is good, and what they're saying now, and I'm kind of looking at it, I'm not convinced on it completely like they're saying, but there's a lot of doctors out there now saying sodium don't play as big a factor in blood pressure as sugar. They're saying now sugar plays a lot bigger factor in making your blood pressure go up.
Wow.
Because of the chemical changes in your body. And this goes back to the packaged food thing real quick. I'll tell you this. Do you know, okay, talking about blood pressure and potassium, okay? And another thing, too, that's interesting. Okay, you can get raw sugar. Okay, it's out there. The sugar we buy in the stores is processed. They bleach it, they do all this different stuff to it. Okay, and if you go online, and you're diabetic, first thing they're going to tell you, get off sugar,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The mineral that is the strongest for helping your body balance the blood sugar is a mineral called chromium. Okay, take a guess what one of the highest sources of natural chromium is in the world. Sugarcane. The mineral is right in there. If you get unprocessed sugar, it's in the recommended daily allowance of potassium is 3,000 milligrams a day. Okay, the health food stores, the FDA won't allow us to sell more than 99 milligrams in a bottle because they say even packaged foods has some and all that. In 1/2 cup of raw sugar cane, there's over 1,000 milligrams of potassium in 1/2 cup. So you see, that's the thing. A lot of foods that are getting like this bad rap, sure in excess they are, but it's the processing that's hurting everything. It's not necessarily the food. Okay. Oh, and the blood typing. Okay. There's these doctors years ago. It was 3 generations of them. It was a granddad, a dad, and a son. The granddad started wondering why everybody had different blood types. So he started looking into it. And long story short, by the time it got to the son, he started looking. What he found was that each blood type had different digestive characteristics. Okay? Like people that are type O, which is what I am, they say people that are type O should be a meat eater. They said people that are type O should never become vegan because they have so much stomach acid, they are designed to break down meat and stuff like that. Their problem, they say, is they should never eat a grain. Okay, never any grains, they say. And then people that are type A, they say should be classic vegetarians. They don't have the acids to do meat. And the thing about it, there's some good information in it. I don't follow it completely because, I still think it goes back to the main point being your individual body chemistry. And if you look at the book, as far as bread, there's only one bread they say that people that are type O should eat. And the funny thing is they say it won't help you, but it won't hurt you. All the other breads will hurt you. And it's called Ezekiel bread. And they take wheat and I can't remember what all else, and they make, they sprout it, in water, and then they take the live sprouts, dry them out, and grind it up and make bread with it. In all the health food books and stores, eat Ezekiel bread. Okay, I can eat 1 piece of Ezekiel bread, and 30 minutes later, I'm a zombie. I mean, I literally feel like I've been drugged. I can't. But I can eat sandwich with Smith's bread, never faces me. So that is the key. Kind of pay attention and know what works well for you and what don't. And, don't eat what doesn't, even if it's a good food, don't eat it, like a lot of times, because, that's really kind of hurting instead of helping.
Right.
Yeah. But for some people, I know a lot of people that have, kind of went with most of what they say with the blood typing diet, and it worked very well for them. Mm-hmm.
And Claude, I got another question. I know I'm just.
No, go ahead, man.
I
Go
just
ahead.
know what a lot of us talk about too. And another one of the questions that was asked, dealing with arthritis and gout and
Okay.
fluid and inflammation in the
Yeah,
body.
yeah, we're gonna.
In the body. What is something that can be helpful dealing with that? How people that their ankles are swelled, the joints, the arthritis, gout, inflammation, and things in that nature. Because some of the elderly people deal with that, and some people, if you take the medication, we understand. But what can help to reduce that? Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, and we'll do this for you real quick too on the gout. Okay, gout's a buildup of uric acid, and most people have the enzymes that break it down and get rid of it. Okay, if your body's lacking that enzyme, it collects at the feet and it's miserable. But the celery seed tea will get rid of uric acid. Black cherry juice is amazing. Huh?
I've been drinking it because I have a brother, he's a health food nut. And he went and bought me a bag full. I've been drinking it.
Well, did you do the juice or the concentrate?
It's in the bottle. I think it's the juice, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, the juice is real diluted. The concentrate is better. You only do it by the tablespoon.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have to do it 3 times a day. And that'll usually, phase all of that uric acid out. But and celery seed is good with it too. Celery seed is great. And I heard that, and I don't know why, neither the pharmaceutical nor, the health side of it has this now, because they have every enzyme you can think of. Well, I read this article about a year ago, and it said uracanase is the enzyme that breaks it down, and they can make it in a pill now. I mean, that right there, that's eliminated, but nobody has it. I don't understand that, but they do. But gout, there's one thing. If you take common cold, cancer, heart disease, arthritis, gout, to an instance diabetes, everything that can possibly, affect you, even a cold. Without this, you wouldn't even know you had a cold, but it's inflammation. Okay? And inflammation can be caused by a lot of different things. A lot of doctors now are saying cholesterol don't have nothing to do with it, with heart disease. It's inflammation. Because if your artery, like say your artery's open like this, but you have a little plaque buildup, and you still have this much space. Okay, you're still working, but if that artery gets inflamed, it squeezes it.
Yeah.
So even if there's plaque there, it's inflammation closing it off. Okay, and my dad had 2 heart attacks in the 1960s. The first one, very mild. In fact, they thought he was having an anxiety attack when they brought him into the hospital. Oh, that's an anxiety attack, until they got the blood work back. So they found one artery that they say needed treatment, so they did the balloon thing on it and popped it out. Well, about 5 or 6 years later, he called me. I mean, it's kind of a funny story. I hate to break off, but he calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning, goes, I'm having another heart attack. And I'm out of bed, Mel, I'll be back, and I just took off. And I get over there, and I mean, just cold sweat, you could do no color and kind of doubled over. And I said, are you ready? He goes, no. And I said, why? I said, you want me to call an ambulance? He goes, I'm not taking an ambulance. And I said, well, aren't you ready to go? He goes, no, I can't find my good shoes. So I had to go searching around his house to find his shoes that he liked the best before he would even get in the car and go to the hospital. But anyway, they did 5 bypasses on him. Okay? Now, cholesterol-wise, they tell you, now they're beginning to tell you if it's under 200. For a while there, they said it was 180. If you're under that, they say you're good to go. First time he had a heart attack, it was 125. Second time he had it, it rose to 142. So cholesterol didn't have a thing to do with his heart attack. I mean, at all, you know. So, but anyway, inflammation, there's a lot of answers for that, okay? You have turmeric root. Black seed oil is amazing on it. Black seed oil is amazing on anything. I mean, that stuff is phenomenal. You have the CBD stuff, you know, which is kind of the rave now, but CBD is not my favorite choice because it's like 5 times higher than the other stuff. And the other stuff's been around for many, many years. CBD's just made it out. And there's so many different companies out there. Yeah. A lot of companies are lacing it. You don't know if you're getting the real thing. You know, but CBD is available. Turmeric root, black seed oil. There's several herbs that attack it. You know, you can go online and they can give you a listing of foods that help it actually. You know, foods that can induce it and foods that take it away. You know, so that's a factor too on it. But inflammation is the main thing that you kind of want to get under control, because if you get that under control, you've got, you know, the makings of controlling it all. Back 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, the head cancer doctor at the Cleveland Clinic did a research study on inflammation, and everybody was like, well, shouldn't you be researching cancer? Now, I saw the video on it. He was doing a, you know, like seminar, and they were like, well, shouldn't you be doing cancer research? He goes, if you stop inflammation, you stop cancer. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay? You know, so that can play a factor. And I tell you what, too, you never read this. I mean, hardly ever. You know, out there, one of the main things that causes inflammation, and I mean, how you handle it, it could be stress. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts, stress. You know, if, here's the thing, too, okay? You know, the FDA for years has been saying, okay, well, not the FDA, but the American Medical Association, if you eat the right foods, you're going to get all the vitamins and minerals you need. Okay, the FDA, when I first got in the industry back in the early 90s, you know, I jumped on the bandwagon too. Well, they said the RDA is too low, you know, to help anything. Okay, and then I realized after several years they didn't. They were right. You know, I always wondered why they didn't come out and say, well, y'all are stupid or whatever, you know, or shut up, it's our rule. But they were right, you know, and they never said anything. If you, okay, say you're having a day where everything's going great, okay, and to your body and your brain, okay, if you're really upset and stressed, you know, it produces chemicals that cause all these reactions in your body that are not good, okay? Right. But on the same end, if you're too overexcited, you produce the same chemicals, okay? So, but if you're in that groove, you know, where you're not like jumping and overexcited or anything like that, to the point like you're nervous, or if you're really, really stressed, if you're just in that groove and you're not hitting either end, the amount of B12 your body would need for that day would actually sit on the point of a sticking pin. That's all you need. Your body barely uses any of it if you're in that groove and you're not under any type of stress. When you get under stress, it goes up greatly. Okay? So stress is like, you know, health-wise, period, is the main thing. You know, the main thing that's out there.
Stress, all children is grown and gone. I don't keep grandchildren no more, so stress is out.
Stress is, yeah, I've got 11 and 17-year-old. Yeah, I love them to death though. I have a lot of fun.
I do too,
Uh,
but they don't.
But yeah, and stress can cause a load of inflammation, going on in your body because of the chemical changes. And I actually, that Dr. Joe Dispenza, this guy is into neurology, and he was saying, and I didn't realize this, okay, for a long time, I don't know if I completely understand this still, but they talk about the unconscious and the conscious mind. But from what I'm getting from watching one of his videos, your conscious mind will send out chemicals to tell your body what it needs to do, okay? But he said the bad thing when a lot of people get sick with something is, he goes, you wake up day after day, okay, you're dealing with this issue. He said to your brain, it becomes like, we can take care of it, but it becomes like this habit, okay? Well, and he said you can change that easily, but what can happen too is, he said, if you concentrate on it all the time, that becomes your set mode every day. So he said what happens is your body starts directing your brain to produce the same chemicals because it wants the same thing every day. It's become the routine, so stress is, any way that's really, easy for you to deal with it, if you can get it under control, you're going to feel a lot better, much, much better.
One more thing with that, and I heard you had asked me, you was talking at one time, and you said that a lot of your nerves, and a lot of your problems go through your stomach and digestive system, the digestive system. Could that harm our bodies if our digestive system is not properly taken care of with the gut bacteria? Because I remember you mentioned something about certain nerves may be turned off in your stomach for the nerves, and sometimes you just need that certain vitamin or something, or mineral that can go and say, hey, it's time to wake up. You need to produce this, whatever. Right. But dealing with your digestive system can cause a lot of issues throughout your body because everything flows through your gut. Is that right? Can you explain?
Absolutely
I won't
right.
ask you nothing.
Years ago, and one thing I started, I like to read about it just because I didn't really understand it, but it was kind of weird to me. But traditional Chinese medicine, okay, they believed everything in your body, and now this is true, it's kind of getting out there, but even a reaction, okay, in our body that we know is not good, okay, like say a heart attack. Okay, before that heart attack gets induced, the signal's got to come from your brain. It's got to.
Wow.
Nothing in your body can happen without a nerve reaction. If you and me meet on the street and I wave at you, it's not my hand doing it. It's my brain. My brain says, oh, wave at him, but in traditional Chinese medicine, and they're proving this now, everybody thought it was, back when I got in the industry, not that long ago, most of the people were like, oh, that's hooey, that don't make sense. And I didn't understand it for a while. But the Chinese said that you had two brains in your body. You had one up here and then one in your stomach, okay, in your digestive tract. Okay, what they have found is, you have this mass up here, that kind of collects data and, does things and stuff like that. Well, you have ganglia of nerves in your stomach, and it controls everything in your body. And what influences it is the bacteria that live in your stomach keep your stomach balanced, okay? If the bacteria start to go down, you're going to see a lot of issues. And this was bizarre to me, but they did a study back, well, it ended in like it was 2005 or 4 or something like that. But for 15 years, they were doing these studies on the digestive tract and all sorts of stuff in the body. And at the end of that study, I mean, this is weird, but they said whatever condition your digestive tract is in today, okay, and you don't change it for 6 months, that's the condition of your blood. So if you're having a lot of digestive problems today, and you start straightening it out, and you get it totally corrected 6 months from now, or 6 months from then, you're going to see an improvement in your blood, okay? And the bacteria, you don't have to run out and buy a supplement for that. Anything that's fermented, sauerkraut, yogurt. The only thing, if you go the yogurt route, do not ever get a fat-free yogurt, because the bacteria can't live without milk fat. I walk into Walmart, like, you have to look to find one that actually has fat in it, and, the others are really doing you no good. You're not getting the bacteria from it. But yogurt, anything like that, and try to eat some, whenever you feel the need for it. Buttermilk, my dad used to drink buttermilk all the time. But anything like that, you get that bacteria in there, and it can really help balance your digestive tract.
So Claude, you said bacteria. Is it a such thing as a good bacteria?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's beneficial bacteria. They call them probiotics, and it's bacteria. Now, ideally, and this is weird too, but medically they say that if your digestive tract is in perfect shape, you're going to have 85% beneficial probiotics and 15% unbeneficial bacteria. Because that unbeneficial bacteria, actually does some things for your body too, but the good ones keep it surrounded, just like candida or yeast. It keeps it surrounded where it does its job in your digestive tract and can't get into your bloodstream. Okay, so if that starts to go down, and I don't know if I don't know what to think about this, but when I first got in the industry, probiotics were there. Most companies said, yeah, if you have yeast, go ahead and take probiotic. Get rid of it, and then you're good to go. Okay, well, there's been so much stuff come out on it now that's unreal. The Center for Disease Control is the government organization that classifies diseases. Like, they say cirrhosis is a liver disorder, and so on. Well, about a year ago, they said they were finishing a 3-year study, and if the study came out the way they thought it was, they were going to reclassify autism and Alzheimer's as a digestive disorder.
Whoa.
Not a mental disorder. And it all deals with the probiotics. They said they found, that like in Alzheimer's, they had this thing called amyloid plaque that develops in the brain. They said that your probiotic can take certain proteins and make a chemical that erodes that. And they found, and it plays part in autism too. And they said they found, people they tested with autism and Alzheimer's hardly had any of it, where everybody else had a bunch. Okay? And then this one company out of Europe went all over the world. I mean, all over the world, all different countries. They would take a probiotic sample of billionaires, and people in homeless shelters, every walk of life, everybody they could get their hands on. They would go into big corporations, small businesses. They went into prisons. And here's one thing, and I was reading all this stuff that they came up with, and they did this for like 20 years. And all this stuff they came up, and there was a whole bunch of interesting stuff, but one thing stuck out in my mind that's just uncanny. Okay, when they went into these prisons, they would take samplings if the prisons had serial killers in it. Okay, serial killers. The people that just go out, they can't catch you like serial killers. They said every one of the serial killers they looked at, their bacteria was identical identical to each other, but was totally different from anybody else in the world. It's totally different. Okay, so I mean, it's just bizarre, but the point is that that will keep your digestive tract straightened out, and that's going to lower your inflammation too, because then your body can manufacture chemicals that can go all over your body, because your bacteria, a lot of times, a good example, one of the neurotransmitters in your brain that helps keep you relaxed and help you sleep is one called GABA, G-A-B-A, okay? And it's a plain old amino acid that's found in food, but it can't go into your brain. When you eat it, your bacteria digest it first and then excrete it in a way that it can go into your brain. So, without your bacteria, you couldn't get any of that in your brain. So they play a big role, and it's the number one factor in your immune system. If your digestive tract, is really, really bad out of balance, your immune system cells that kill invaders can't make the chemicals to kill them with. Yeah, so it plays a big factor.
So you're easily getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's easily when your immune system is weak. All types of stuff can attack you. The sickness can keep coming back, re-enter your body because of that. All that can cause, because I remember we had talked about that, with your digestive system being weak, it'll actually cause your immune system to become weak.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything can attack your body when your immune system is not weak. I mean, fatigue, tiredness, your body not functioning, brain fog. I mean, it just, everything happens. I think, like you said, if you start with the digestive system, you can help, to eliminate a whole bunch of other things just by doing that. And then the other little things, the little excess things, you can kind of work with as time goes on.
As time goes on. And the best thing, what I tell everybody that comes to the store is, like, if they have numerous issues, pick the one that you think is the most important at this time
first,
and work with that. If you're having any digestive issues, you might can do some celery seed tea if your blood pressure up, something like that, but really address that. Okay, aloe vera is one of the best things in the world you can take for your digestive tract. It is the answer to acid reflux. If any of you have that, for years they said it was too much acid. Okay, but that's not true. What it is a lack of it. Okay, and it sounds crazy, but the main stomach acid, when you eat something, little bit of food here, okay, that acid surrounds that food completely. And what it does is it separates your food so the enzymes can get in and break it down. Okay, if you're lacking that acid and anything comes into your stomach, and say the acid only touches like the bottom portion of that food, okay, down there will start to separate, but everything else, there's no acid on it, so instead of separating, the heat from the acid causes it to swell, and it pushes that acid up into your esophagus. Aloe vera increases your body's production of that stomach acid. So 2 weeks, 4 weeks after you start taking it, problem solved. You don't have to,
And I just to test with that, Claude, I take that now, and I can take it early in the mornings, and then after I eat, I take it again, and I tell you what, with the even with the enzymes, the capsules, I don't even take them. I can just take the little liquid aloe vera gel.
Yeah.
And that's another one that he had told me about. And it may not taste the best, but
it's not good.
But here's the deal. I can take 1 little tablespoon of it. My acid reflux, my digestive stuff, heartburn, I don't even deal with that. I was taking medication. They couldn't even help. They didn't have a medication. They was talking about going back and checking my GI tract or what? They was talking about going and check and doing some study. And I'm like, no, no offense to the doctors, we honor them, but I'd rather, if I'm gonna let them diagnose some stuff, I might as well do it myself. And I started taking this stuff here, like Clark was telling me, and I'm at normal. My body, I'm not constipated with all this other different stuff. And I mean, the heartburn, the indigested stuff, I mean, everything is, I mean, like today, I took it maybe once, and I forgot I wasn't even taking this stuff because I didn't feel the acid reflux.
Right.
And I forgot about I had acid reflux. I was dealing with it. Because it's over. Because even, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to let y'all say, because I've got so much on that. I was dealing with anxiety because I was dealing with the acid reflux so bad because my body was off balance and I was tripping out, freaking out. I don't know what's going on. When I got the acid reflux and the digestive system under control, my anxiety level even went down. Because of that, because it was freaking me out, because I didn't understand what was going on. My body, and it was sending signals, like you said, my stomach was sending signals to my brain, this is what was going on.
Exactly.
So now my brain was saying, this is going to be my normal routine. So when I wake up, I'm freaking out, thinking something going on. Until I started getting the main issue under control, they was treating symptoms when the problem was still there. So now I went back and we talked to Clark. I'm treating the problem, not just the symptom. So the symptom is not there no more because I treated the problem. And now the anxiety, I mean, it was like a domino effect. The anxiety, the acid reflux, the heartburn, all of that. I'm normal, but I mean, I had a little issue here and there, but it's normal. I can take something for it. It's gone. Rather than dealing with the acid reflux, the anxiety, and all the other stuff that came with it. But now I did do one thing. I changed. I exercise more. Just like you said, I've done everything, and he's great in telling. I exercise every morning. I'm running a couple of miles, or walk, whatever, speed walking, exercising. That plays a part. It secreted dopamines, whatever those other things to help my body, whatever I wouldn't get. But to say that.
Go ahead. Let's get a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's right. The aloe vera gel may not taste as good, and it's like $12. And it lasts probably for months. If you just get 1 tablespoon in the morning and 1 before you go to bed at night, and you wake up in the morning on the empty stomach, I take it again. And I forgot I didn't even take it today because I was feeling so well.
Yeah, it works really, really good. And I tell you what, the herbalist, and this is interesting, the herbalist that opened the Health Hut in 1983, this is bizarre to me. He has been taking aloe vera for 40 years, every day. Okay, and I'm not saying this is everything to it, but the man is 97 years old. He lives in Bruton, still drives to the Health Hut to pick up his stuff, and he don't come very often. You know, he gets everything at one time and then he goes back. But about 3 years ago, maybe 4, he was probably 92, 93 at the time. He was real big on exercise, okay? Always talked about it. This man was almost dead at 58. His kidneys were failing. He had to take an early retirement from the power company. Totally turned everything around and got certified in this and that and everything. But he came in, and I finally had a chance that day to talk to him. We weren't busy. And I love Mr. Hale. He is such a cool man. But I said, well, Mr. Hale, you still doing your exercise? And he got this little sheepish grin. He goes, 4 days a week for 45 minutes. And I knew what his exercise was, and that's what blows me away. It's called rebounding. It's mini trampoline. Okay. And you get on that trampoline, and I don't know what all exercise you do, but you jump up and down, and you do these exercises on it. 92 years old doing that 4 days a week for 45 minutes straight at 92. The man is amazing. And what he told me, there was a man back in the 1950s, I'd say, through like 1970s, and he was kind of like the Dr. Oz of his day. His name was Bernard Jensen. He was a medical doctor, a certified herbalist, did all these little modalities like called kinesiology, where they muscle test you, did all this stuff. And he wrote all these books. He mapped out the mineral makeup of the human body. It's a book that's like this thick. I mean, the man was brilliant. He had rulers of countries that would have him come to their country to treat one of their relatives or them or whatever. Search for all over the world. And Mr. Hale knew him. He went to his school and got to meet him. They were about the same age. He couldn't believe, man, there's a guy my age coming to my school, you know. So they got to be good friends. But one day him and Mr. Hale were sitting, you know, eating lunch together. And he asked Mr. Hale, he said, you know, all of those health problems you had, how are they doing? He goes, well, he said, I'm not 100%. There's a few little minor things that I can't get a grip on. And he goes, but I'm working on it. And he said, Bernard Jensen asked him, he said, well, what about your exercise? And Mr. Hale said, I work out in the yard, you know, a little bit. And I have a lot of property and this and that. And Bernard Jensen said, no, I mean, what about actually like walking or running or whatever you want to do? Getting out and doing that at least 15, 30 minutes a day, you know, even if you have to separate it. And Mr. Hale said, no, I don't do that. He said, why? Do you really think it's that important? Now, this man, remember, he could treat anybody in the world, okay? And he told Mr. Hale, he goes, I would rather work with somebody that had the worst diet in the world, did not take one nutritional supplement, but was an exercise fanatic. I would rather work with them than somebody that only ate perfect food, took every pill on the shelf, and refused to exercise. He said it will correct more things going on in your body than anything you can put in your mind. Okay, so yeah, that's going to play a big factor too. And it don't have to be anything strenuous. One more thing, and I mean this, I don't think any of you might have an issue with this, but I thought this was kind of denoted the, you know, how important exercise was too. About 4 years ago, this research company went to the largest retirement facility in New York, okay? And it has thousands of seniors there. And they got seniors from 75 to 85 years old, some in, you know, decent health, good health. A few of them would walk or exercise, some of them didn't, some of them in pretty bad health. But for 8 weeks, they put them on a very light dumbbell routine, you know, little dumbbells. All they had them do was do one exercise for every body part, okay? And they said it lasted about 12 to 15 minutes, and none of the seniors were even taxed out. Even the ones that weren't in great health wasn't even taxed out after they did it. And they did it 4 days a week, okay? At the end of 8 weeks, their bone density had increased by double digits. Osteoporosis, you know, they talk about calcium, all that out there. Well, weight-bearing exercise increases your bone density more than the calcium. You know, so it does if you can work it in. And like I said, you don't have to do it. The only time that I have, you know, is in the morning, and then right as I get off work, because I want to get home and play with my kids. You know, I want to, you know, my kids, my son does stuff, my younger one does, you know, and I want to see my family, you know. So I'll do, you know, some of it in the morning. I'll get up a little early, and then right after I get out of work, you know, I know about what time they eat, so I'll go do what I can and then get home and do that. And you know, and I'm telling you, it does make a factor. Unfortunately, my dad passed away just recently, but he dealt with dementia and Alzheimer's for 3 years. I love his will. He would not leave. You know, I mean, he was like, I'm perfectly capable. Well, right there at the end, it was getting really, really bad, and it was so stressful. And if it wouldn't have been for the exercise, I tell you what, I would be having a lot of health problems right now, because the stress was unreal. You know, really, really unreal. So if you can, you know, try to work it in at least 3 days a week. You know, the more breath you take in, the more oxygen too.
So you saying, because I have osteoporosis too, I take an injection every 6 months. So you're saying if I do those exercises with the dumbbell, because I do have one, that would increase my health in my osteoporosis?
Oh, yeah. And at that retirement facility, they said, and I forget what the percentage was. I know it was like 11 or 12. In 8 weeks, their bone density increased by 11 or 12%.
Wow.
And they did one exercise for every part of their body, and that was it. And I don't think they did like sets of it. They just, grabbed it and did it. And they even said isometrics would work too, which is just where you use your own body weight. Yeah, you just press against yourself. But anything that is weight-bearing exercise definitely increases bone density.
Because I'm a
Yeah.
sister.